This is the Chad Factor late at night, back at you. Just want to talk a little bit about a movie I just saw tonight in Georgia, and it's called Hidden Colors 3: The Rules of Racism. And I'm gonna have to give this movie a 8 out of 10 because it was phenomenal and it has some good stuff in it. Shiraz Ali was dropping knowledge. Dick Gregory was dropping knowledge. Paul Mooney was dropping knowledge. Nas was dropping knowledge. Dr. Joy was dropping knowledge. Francis Cress Wilson was dropping knowledge. And I just have to say that, all of them contributed to this documentary. Dick Gregory was dropping knowledge because I had no idea that George Washington Carver actually was castrated and born into an all-white family, and they castrated him so he would never birth again because they played an audio of his pitched voice. So I just want to give a shout out there. But pretty much, the movie was about racism, how it played in American society, slavery, and dehumanization, and it got into how black and white people didn't exist, and actually got into there were a lot more in white indentured servants. They actually said this than black slaves, but they dehumanized the black slaves so the white slaves can feel like they were better, and actually got into a couple of other things. Italians that got lynched, but because they had power in Italy, the America had to apologize to the Italian government. So here and there, stuff that you wouldn't really know about because they did say 4,000 blacks were lynched, but they said 1,000 whites were lynched. So judging by this documentary, that's believable. But overall, I liked it because it was talking about the racism, talking about the past transgressions of what happened during slavery, what happened during the Jim Crow era, the taking from knowledge of self of why, because they're trying to bred us to believe that we were just slaves, that we were nothing more than slaves, not knowing our history outside of America. And not talking about the advancements of what we did in America, because some of them stole the ideals and thoughts of what we did. So that's the main thing of the documentary. But definitely had a lot of good information about the organ donating. I talked about this on my show with Kendrick Johnson's parents, on my show about what's going on with them taking black people's organs, using them for their own benefit. In other countries they're actually doing this, and you can research this. And they took Kendrick Johnson's organs out and stuffed them with newspaper. And they did this with another individual from Atlanta. I forgot their name, but they did this with them. So that's how it's really going on, because there are many hundreds of cases like this where they take these black people's organs and use them for themselves. So I really, really loved what they were talking about with the organ donor, because I like talking about that myself. But overall, talking about the racism, talking about black people working harder, being discriminated from the job force. What's missing from this whole thing that I thought was missing is what Thomas Sowell and Walter E. Williams were saying all along. That we were more self-sufficient after slavery, during Jim Crow, than what we are now, because integration. They said this about integration is so that we can spend Ubers and Ubers of money just giving them some more money. I don't think you can afford that $1,000 purse. Well, you're gonna buy that and keep buying from there, so you can prove to them that you can buy it, so you can feel special, so you can feel the same as that white, as that Asian, that any other person that you think you're inferior to them. So that's what I really got into with business economics. Now, what they didn't say is that we're a $1 trillion consumer, but hey, each its own. But that's basically it, because that's what people because as a business aspect, integration was not a smart business idea. People keep saying it was a moral thing and all that other stuff, but people like Cornell X, people like Thomas Sowell, people like Walter Williams said it was not a smart business move, and it was not a smart move to integrate because now we're dependent on every race but our own. And that's not to say people were better under segregation or slavery. That means that we were more to ourselves, than anybody else. Talked about, how other groups and politics, how other groups basically funnel their money, create millions of dollars into trying to satisfy the politicians to make the politicians go to them raising millions of dollars. The Hispanics did it, the Mexicans did it. So that's why the Obama administration paid attention to these two certain groups because they were able to pull their money together. And even during the civil rights movement, they used this minority while the black people working hard to get the civil rights. They sat back, and then when they said minority rights, then the Hispanics and the white women came in and took from that movement. And this is what Ann Coulter has said for years and years, that the feminists, Hispanics, and gays have co-entailed the civil rights movement. That was in her book Mugged. Just so you know, a conservative white woman said this. But the overall spectrum of hidden colors is that I agree with that. I agree that we needed to talk about. What I really was impressed by this is that even though we talked about the history, talked about the lynchings, talked about the racism, they actually had solutions to it. They actually talked about building, creating your own business, no, creating jobs, not getting a job, but creating jobs. You know, what, trying to create more business, how black people should support black businesses that will respect them and that won't, have the same quality as the Asian other business. So they were giving legitimate solutions to the problem because we can talk about the slavery, the burning of bodies, all this burning of bodies, lynchings, castration, and all of this, and not talk about solutions. But they were really getting into the solutions of the business and talking about the Montgomery bus boycott, which I've heard a dozen times, but never really knew the economic pinch of it was because their taxes were getting affected, their livelihoods were getting affected. Um, Bus drivers were quitting, white folks were quitting from their jobs, taxes were getting low, so that's why they had to give the blacks something because they were hurting their pockets. And they were saying that the way to end racism and end anything, any racism, not just white people, because that's why I believe. I don't believe it's just white supremacy is racism. I believe you have to be racist. To be racist, you have to have power, and right now that's not just black folks. It's Asians, Hispanics, um, Mexicans, Arabs, the whole nine, Lebanese. So that's all I gotta say on that. But um, basically, it worked, and you hurt them in their pocket, and that's why they had to give in to the demands. So that's what I really liked about it because it gave valid solutions. People need to boycott, need to get rid of these businesses, you know, and that we need to do for self. We need to get away and build our own infrastructure and get away from it. We need to funnel our money to get these politicians to talk to us. Because your vote, the vote doesn't matter. That $1,000 check or money matters. So overall, I loved it. I did disagree with them saying that single black mothers having children raised in single black homes didn't affect the crime or the ills in the black community because they were trying to say even with strong black families that crime was high 50 or 60 years ago, and I just don't believe that. I've talked to people from there. Thomas Sowell, Walter E. Williams, other civil rights activists have said that we have not seen this epidemic of people molesting children, um, black on black crime, and other things than we do right now. So I'm just not going to believe that, um, because I believe single parent homes can affect either the white or the black community. If you don't have fathers, that's going to affect the white or the black, and that's the only two communities that have the single parent household problem. So I'm going to keep talking about that because that's what it is. What it is, no father, kids can't function. Then bada bing, bada boom, crap goes off the chain. Plus, without a father, you got a lot of boys out here who are soft and milk toast too. So that's really what it is. But overall, I give Hidden Colors 3 and 8 out of 10 because didn't like some of the other parts I mentioned with saying that single parent homes in effect, or we're still getting some of the effects of slavery and Jim Crow, but they talked about it. We understand it in about racism, what goes on, but we're giving solutions to it and what we should do, and giving examples of making shoe shops and doing other things to combat that and how to affect their pockets by basically boycotting. And I love how Sherazade Ali talked about, you know, um, the perms and basically why black women are going natural because the perms are affecting their thyroid. Dick Gregory and Sherazade Ali described that. But I will keep to my method that it's not just white supremacy that's the problem. It's every race that comes to this country wants to make us their slaves. And Umar made a good point also about amnesty, which I will keep talking about, that immigration is going to replace us at the labor force, and they're going to be our new so-called slave masters, as people would say, and that they're trying to displace us, and then they're going to get rid of us. So that's what they want to do. So folks, please vote against amnesty for your benefit, folks, because it will not be a good sign. It will not be a good forte for that to happen. But my point is that it will wake you up. Hidden Colors 3 Rules of Racism will wake you up to a lot of things going on, has solutions to it, and doesn't just have all victimization, all of this that people have talked about year after year after year. It actually has valid solutions. It may be the same solutions, but it has solutions to the issues. So Hidden Colors 3 was good. I give it an 8 out of 10. I'm very happy that I saw it. I couldn't get out of my seat because of the stuff that was the material and stuff that was in it. And please see it. I will just continue to say that racism is not just from whites, or that everything from Jim Crow and slavery affected us now. That's why we have the problems we have. I will never say that, but I will say integration has greatly um, affected us in a bad way. But this is the Chad Factor on Hidden Colors 3 Rules of Racism. Thank you.